Welcome to Seltzer Squad, the podcast about staying sober in the city, with your hosts, Kate Zander and Jes Valentine.
Hey guys, Kate here. I just wanted to let you know that this week's episode is sponsored by Audible. Audible is a huge part of my sober toolbox. I love listening to books and memoirs, and it's almost like having another friend who gets it. So visit audibletrial.com/seltzersquad for a free month. You'll thank us later.
Hi, Jes.
Hey, Kate. How are you?
I'm relieved. How are you?
Also relieved. I mean, I don't know when this is going to air, but just so everyone knows, we're recording this a few days after the election result.
Yeah. After the long.
Yeah. It was like Groundhog Day. It was election day again and again and again.
Yeah. You were gone. You told us that you were leaving. How was your mini vacay?
I had like a little cold first. And so I was just like kind of home. I didn't work for a couple of days just because I wanted to make sure I didn't have COVID, which I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gave it to Cameron.
Oh, no.
But we still went to Salem. We just stayed in the Airbnb the whole time because we just wanted to be out of the city. And we did. And it was really nice. And we actually had left and we still hadn't had the results yet. So
I was wondering if you had come back already.
No, we still had to wait like an extra day or two. Because I remember we used to get them like that night or whatever, but I guess that's before we did all the mail-ins and all that kind of stuff. So how was your polling site? Did you have to wait on the long line or?
So TJ and I mailed our ballots in like weeks and weeks and weeks ago. So
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought
I was the fraudulent ballots.
Yeah. Well, Jersey, yeah. I mean, Jersey was going to probably be blue, so I wasn't super worried about it, but wanted to make my vote count. So we sent ours in early. And then election night, like everybody else, we just watched. And I don't think I slept for 4 days because you just didn't want to miss anything, So it was
I know.
I would sleep till like 11 a.m. Then I would get up and check everything. And I mean, I'm in school, so I had 2 midterms the same week, like that Monday and then that Tuesday. And I think all of us were just garbage. Like my mind is just garbage. I just couldn't focus. And so it was like the homework and the tests on top of just like being sober, being aware, preparing yourself for the worst, and then also like a not allowing yourself to have any hope was kind of where we were at. Like we were just like, I think
totally get that.
The end of Tuesday night, you were just sort of bracing for okay.
I know.
And then
it
just went on and on and on.
I know. It was very interesting, this election. It was my first sober election.
Me too.
I was actually going to ask you, do you remember?
No, actually the first time he won was my first sober. So election day 4 years ago was the day after we signed on our apartment. So we literally had this really exciting day, and it couldn't have been more depressing.
Oh, I believe it.
And it's funny because this year marks 4 years, right? So it was the day that election was called was election day last year. So it was just 365 days of, it was just such a stark difference. I had stayed up till 5 o'clock in the morning the night before it was called. And so TJ woke me up and was like, they called it, he won. And I just cried. I cried. I wept all day on Saturday. I just couldn't, people were banging pots and pans. I'm crying.
Yes.
Then I was like, we have to get dressed and go out. I think everyone just wanted to be around people. There were so many people outside, eating brunch, going on walks, I know. Everybody was wearing masks.
I was a little annoyed at the lack of social distancing, but I understand.
Right.
I woke up to people outside my window going, woo, woo. And I didn't even put 2 and 2 together because I am a heavy sleeper and I don't like being woken up. And then, so we're just sitting there, I'm like, oh, and then Cameron's like, I think we won. So then I jumped out of bed and grabbed my phone. I'm like, oh my God, we did. And then we just hung out in the backyard listening to everyone, wooing. And the thing that sucked is I had to work. And I didn't want to work. I was like, I don't want to work because I want to be out with the people. But I had to work. I had 3 clients, and luckily everyone came in. Everyone was in such a good mood. And my first client was like, the walk over here was amazing. Everyone's just celebrating. And then I wanted to celebrate. So I wanted to get some NA champagne.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually buy that stuff online beforehand. Like if I know I'm like, oh, it's like New Year's Eve is coming up, or like, and I never just was like, oh my God, I want to like go to the store and buy this. And I found a place not too far from me. Well, it was in Williamsburg, which is technically like the next town over, but took me a half hour to get there.
I
But
bet.
the point is, we drove through McCarran Park. And dude, it was bananas.
Did you like honk?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Gets
I'm
the crowd
like
going.
Shy. Like when I'm sober, I'm shy. And so like I wanted to, but I didn't want to. And then some girls like, honk your horn.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So I was like honking the horn. But I was like a little disturbed at the amount of the lack of social distancing and mask people, because everyone was, so here's the thing. By the time I got out there, it was like 8:30. Everyone was bombed.
Oh yeah.
Everyone was shit-faced. I mean, the good thing is that everyone was in a good mood, but I had a weird twinge of jealousy.
Yeah, we walked over to City Hall and we were like, you know how City Hall in JC has all those benches? So the crowd was like in the street, because the street has basically been kind of closed off because of all the parklets for all the restaurants. So we stayed back and were on the benches to just sort of maintain distance from everybody else. But there were people walking. There was like just people with champagne bottles, and they kept walking around saying, "Bubbles for democracy. Do you want some? Do you want some?" And it was like, I mean, it was like fucking noon. So obviously TJ and I had like our coffee cups, and I was like, definitely no. I didn't have any. I didn't have any cravings. I think I was just like, honestly, so relieved. Like
I didn't have like cravings to drink. I wanted to like.
You had a little FOMO. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I like said to Cameron when we were driving through the park, I was like, "Do you want to do anything?" She's like, "Do I want to be with all these unmasked people right now that are wasted? Hell no." And I'm like, oh, good point. It's just like my natural inclination.
I mean, I kind of had the twinge. Like I woke up and I was like, let's go for a walk. And TJ's like, I'm going to take a shower. And I was like, no, we're going for a walk. Like this is a big deal. Like we have to be around other human beings, even if it's 6 feet away. Like this is just like a major glimpse of hope and happiness that we haven't had in 8 months. So can we please leave the house and go for like a walk? And, you know, they were playing music and a fucking mailman walked by. I fucking literally lost. Everybody was crying. Like
He was crying?
Yeah. I mean, I can't even talk about her. I'll just like cry. I think it's not even about like Republican and Democrat. I think just the sense of hope that everybody had was like so overwhelming. It's just that like finally there was some positivity, I feel like, and something that wasn't negative and wasn't like, I don't want to get into Trump, but I just feel like he's such a low vibe. Like Trump has effectively brought us all down for 6 years at this point. Like I just feel like there was a moment of relief of like just having some hope and a glimpse of like positive redemption going on in the future. And I'm not naive enough to think that like all of our problems are going to be fixed, but I think
I think you're right.
It just goes to say that like the other side at least is like touting unity, hope, and like an upward trajectory, even if that's too ambitious. Like I think that's what it was for me.
I completely am in agreement. I don't like politics. I'm not very well versed, but I know a monster when I see one. And like I don't think that Biden is great either.
Right.
I'm not really a fan. He's the lesser of two evils, and I feel like we need Trump out of office. He is just leading with fear, and all of his, Trumpers are like pretty brainwashed at this point. And it's just crazy. Like he's just so hateful, and the things that he spews, and it's just blatant lies. And I honestly think that he's like mentally unstable. Like we have had a mentally unstable person running our country. It's so embarrassing. But anyway, yes, I was just more celebrating the fact that he is done. I'm terrified at how close a lot of the votes and stuff were, though, because it's like, okay, racism, all that shit is alive and well. I know that for a lot of people, it's like a financial thing.
Sure.
Fine, but
quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly. However, it's just like such a sigh of relief. I'm so happy. And it's exciting. We have our first female vice president.
Yeah, I think it's
and
like,
she's
it's
a woman
exciting.
of color.
Like we all, like I want to get more involved now on a community level. I think that's what the big takeaway for me has been also with the pandemic is like, you know, I don't think that the only way that things change is if you like get out of your house and change them. Like I was just thinking, you know, everybody posting on social media, I was like, eventually we're going to have to get off our phones and get involved, like actually get off our phones and leave the house and get involved, whether that's volunteering at a food bank or registering voters or going to city hall meetings. Like to me, it just made me more aware of all the things that I can still do. And I mean, obviously we give back in the form of this podcast, but I want to give back more in my local community. So that was something that, I don't know, was brought to my attention.
Yeah, I mean, posting a meme only goes so far, right? You know?
Totally.
No, I totally agree. I think that also it's a little scary because I don't want to say white people, but I think that a lot of white people may just be like, okay, cool. Like we're good now. It's like, we're not good. We have a lot of work to do. I think that this is just like the first step in the right direction. You know, people have kind of stopped posting about the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff. And it's like, no. We still need to like
more than ever
changed. We need to, like this is just the first step. Like now the real work is gonna start. So I completely agree with you on all that.
I had like a total culture hangover on Sunday, like after. So Saturday was like everybody was excited. It was like processing so many emotions. Like first female woman of color vice president, like Biden won. Trump is golfing and won't concede. Like there was so much shit to process that Sunday I was just like trash. I was like, couldn't get out of my bed. I just laid in bed and my nervous system is just so overworked. I feel like from just being so anxious for the last like at least 6 months, if not longer, and especially last 3 months. And I was just like so depressed yesterday because I think part of me also doesn't trust that this is going to stick. Like I feel like something still can go wrong or, you know, and I think that will be like just such a letdown. Like part of me is waiting for the other shoe to drop, even though like he's in there, you know? Yet. Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't want to leave.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's like still TBD in my mind. So I felt like
I agree.
I felt a little hungover on Sunday. Like I was very down. I felt so tired. I had a really bad headache. Like it was sort of all of the bad vibes that I had when I actually was drinking. It wasn't like day one hangover when I was drinking, but it was like day two hangover when I was drinking. Like, you know, when you're just super depressed and you are super low. So today I'm feeling much better. I like forced myself to go to bed and rest and relaxation and self-care is just actually really important. So
yeah, I was going to ask you something and now I've totally blanked.
Side note, while you were talking about the NA champagne, I was thinking I saw a picture of Frey makes canned rosé, I think now. Or canned.
I was never a rosé fan, but I love drinks in a can.
Me too. So I was thinking that we should
I'll have to
try
check that out. Shout out to Steph. I forget her actual Instagram handle because I just know her by her real name. She brought me so much, like she doesn't like beer. She brought me like a shit ton of NA beer. So that was really nice of her. Thank you, Steph. And I'm trying to think what else. I thought I had like another big sobriety thing to mention, but I guess I can't. I guess not. I think that my mind is still just like jumbled because of all this.
Oh,
you know?
Well, do you want to talk about weed? Because New Jersey passed weed. That was on our ticket. Was like weed legalization, which like I was really hoping for. But then in my mind, I'm a little like in my head about if I should be or if I shouldn't be excited about that. And I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, how do you feel about it?
I'm going to pause you just because I remember what I was going to say and I don't want to forget about it again. T Toddler, is that how you pronounce the Instagram?
T Doodler.
T Doodler.
Yes.
Posted an awesome drawing and it said something about how it basically summed up how I felt about the election. It said, I mourned your victory with drinking and I'm celebrating.
Oh yes, I saw that too.
Like leaving with recovery. So that was a really good one. And we had a lot, I reposted it and we had a lot of people like clapping and liking that one. So shout out to T Doodler. But yeah, let's talk about weed. I'm actually really excited about it just because I love CBD for my pain. And now I don't have to go to like Idaho or Alaska. Yeah. So I don't have to go to like, I don't have to take a plane to get stuff. I can just cross the state line when I'm getting my nails did or something. When is this going to happen though?
Well, it seems like it's kind of up to the municipalities whether like how they roll it out and how the licensing will work. I haven't done too much research into it, but I'm hoping sooner rather than later. Like I had like convinced myself that like even if Trump won, that we probably would have passed weed. So I was like, well, at least there's something to sort of look forward to. That like I'm not a big pot smoker anymore, but I do enjoy
I was going to
like
ask you,
edibles in the correct like dosage or whatever. Like I know that this amount will help me if I'm feeling super anxious or whatever. So I feel like I use it to get
fucked up.
Yeah, I use it in that way.
It's
but
more medicinal.
It's kind of still like it's like a slippery slope though between
taboo. I know.
Between numbing, taking too much to numb, and taking like I don't want to say clinical amount, but like a clinical amount, you know?
Yeah. We feel like we could even explore this further and like do a whole.
Now mushrooms are like legal in DC.
What?
Yeah, like
really?
Like hallucinogenic mushrooms are legal in places now.
I heard
maybe it was
Oregon just like basically decriminalized all drugs, which is interesting.
Yeah,
I like saw a meme. It was like, congratulations to drugs for winning the war on drugs.
Like, yeah, I saw that too.
By the way, you look like a pilot.
Oh, I bought us some new equipment. I sold some of our equipment on eBay, and I bought us some more compact stuff for when we ever get back on the road so we can see each other.
Yeah. Well, I'll be passing Jersey City on Wednesday, so maybe I can come pick mine up, and then we can both look like pilots together.
So I got closer with one of our people that came to our Zoom. Her and I were DMing back and forth. And we became like, we've just been DMing all week because I think everybody's just been so fucking nervous that we've all just been clinging on to
who?
I don't want to mention her name, but she sent me a couple screen grabs of what she wrote down when she first got sober, because she's in early sobriety and got sober during the pandemic. And I just feel like a lot of it is really applicable to this time, and then also just sort of like how we feel with the election. And it kind of goes along with what you were saying about T. Doodler's quote. It was like, so she writes, this was in May. So she writes, 100,000 lives lost to COVID today, and it's my day one of living a sober life. I want to remember them and live for them. I get to have a day one and they don't. I thought that was really like interesting because we don't think about that when we're like in our addiction, right? Like you don't think about all of those people that have lost their lives and the fact that we get to wake up and start over again. And I saw in our Facebook group that there has been some relapse happening on and off, and
I noticed that
some people feeling really bad about themselves. And I mean, obviously you're going to feel terrible for that, but I also think that it's part of the process, and you get to start over. I think that's the important thing.
And again, if you're in our Facebook group, like no one's going to shame you for that. You don't have to be ashamed. You can be disappointed in yourself. I mean, I would be too, but that doesn't mean that it has to be a shameful thing or that you should be embarrassed. It happens. Just you obviously, if you're posting that you fucked up and you're back to day one, that means that you still have the right headspace. Like you know that you fucked up, you know that you don't want to continue down that path, and you're trying to do the right thing. So don't beat yourself up. And this has been a very, very, very trying time.
This is such a hard time. Like
it's been so hard.
I mean, so this girl and I were texting back and forth, and she was like, I can't believe like we're sober. And she was just asking me about like my journey. And I'm like, for me though, like in this time, like sobriety is the only option for me. Like drinking is not going to get me anywhere I want to be, especially with how serious everything is going on right now. So now that I'm in like more toddler sobriety, it's just more evident than ever that I'm only like, even talking about feeling guilty about not showing up enough in volunteering and in service before, like there's no way I'd be able to do that if I was drinking. So even just in getting sober, like I'm just such a better member of society, even though there's still more I can do. At least right now, like I'm not hungover and I can show up and do that.
Yeah,
which
totally.
I think is big.
100%. I couldn't imagine.
Did you think about drinking at all?
Right.
You did? Were you glad that they had the NA champagne?
Well, I had called first.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I did, but not out of depression or anything. It was more out of celebration. But I quickly was like, why are you feeling like this? And I'm like, you just have FOMO. You can still have fun. Also, like, what makes me think that me having like a glass of champagne, like real champagne or something, is gonna make me
more excited.
Fun. I'm still gonna be annoyed by all these motherfuckers, no mask, getting all up in your personal space, listening to really bad fucking techno music. You know what I mean? Like, it's just all a lie in your head. It's just like your addiction creeping in and being like, hey, remember how much fun we used to have?
Yeah.
So
it is a lie.
Yeah, it's a lie. And it's like, it's so easy to remember the good times and like having fun and like that like giddy feeling. Cause I would always start off getting real giddy and having so much fun. And then you don't remember the come down, you know, you just remember I romanticize it, you know? So just quickly reminding myself, like, look how fucking stupid all these idiots look, you know, cause we were stuck for a minute because they were just people in the streets, like dancing and stuff. And it was really fun and cute, but like, it also was like, but like, really, is this what I want to be doing? It's like, no, of course not.
I went down like a really big rabbit hole of like learning about Kamala and like just Googling and YouTubing all the things because I was just processing so much yesterday, like everything going on. And I watched I think it was I don't know, some news station interview with Hunter Biden, who has sort of been the subject of all the speculation and sort of one of Trump's targets, right? So the interviewer said like, so you've been in and out of rehab 6 to 7 times. And he was like, wait a minute. He's like, you could be a little nicer, like sought treatment 6 to 7 times. And he like totally stopped her and put her in her place. And he was like, you know, my family loves me. My dad loves me. He was like, I knew that I would be a target in this. And he was like, honestly, it has no effect on me because I know what my family thinks and I know what my family believes. And he was like, you know, I'm living for today. And I just thought he was so poignant and just sort of like shutting that shit down when really being pressed on it when, you know, I can only imagine like putting myself in his shoes of just having that stuff being broadcast. And, you know, Biden gave his speech and Hunter came out with his, you know, kids and everything. And I just thought that was really brave because I think that takes a lot to be in active recovery, relapsing, you know, whatever stage he's in. Yeah. And be literally on the public stage as, you know, seen as sort of a weapon against your family. But
sure. And because like, he's not choosing to have that public like, you know, that's
basically what he said is like, I don't really owe you guys anything. Like, I'm not the one running for vice president. That's my dad. And I think that, you know, I know my dad loves me and I don't really need to share this part of myself with you guys. Like, I don't have a public life. Yeah. And so I thought it was just like, really badass.
Could you imagine like, we chose this, right? We chose to have a podcast, but could you imagine being forced to talk about it? Like most people are not comfortable talking about their addiction. So I couldn't imagine
having your hot mess hoedowns like posted on CNN. Like that would suck.
No, it really, really would. But also I believe Trump mentioned something about Hunter in the debate or whatever. And he said, I'm actually really proud of my son for trying to overcome his addiction. Like, you know, he completely changed the narrative. It's like, you're going to try to use this as against somebody. And it's like, do you even know how prevalent addiction is?
Totally.
Like,
That's what I thought. I just thought it was so tasteless because I was like, you have
how
no clue
Americans
how many
touched
people
by
are
this?
suffering with this, like especially with the opioid crisis, even far and above the drinking thing. Like there's just so much addiction and so much pain happening that I was like, further, this just goes to show like how off base Trump always is.
Yeah.
My head.
He's a garbage person. So
anyway, how are you going to celebrate the next, I don't know, 60 days? I feel like I'm not going to really fully believe it until it is like inauguration day. So I'm just like holding my breath.
100%. Same.
And I'm going to do what I can to help the Senate race in Georgia. Like
he still has time to do crazy shit. Yeah. So until January 20th, when I know that his Cheeto ass is out, like it's going to be like nail biting, but yeah, but I'm sure we will come back and have another catch up about that.
Well, we stayed sober. That's the important thing.
We stayed sober
and we voted.
We stayed sane. We voted. Again, obviously not every listener that we have is going to
agree with us.
Our
that's
politics,
okay.
And that's totally fine. You don't have to write us a nasty email. We understand.
You can if you want. It doesn't really matter to me.
You can, but it's like not really nice.
Yeah, true.
Not really nice. It makes me really upset when we get emails like that. So if you could just maybe not, again, and we respect everyone else's opinions. This is merely our opinions and it's our podcast. So we're just talking about our opinions. We hope that everyone else has stayed sane and safe during this election. And I hope you voted. And I hope that everyone else is breathing a sigh of relief.
Yeah. Until we meet again.
Yeah. Be nice to yourself.
Don't forget. Hangover sack.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Every review helps other listeners find us. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Kate Sander. For show notes and resources, check out seltzersquad.com.